All right, another day, another survival kit. And continuing in our series, this is a survival kit evidently from England. I got it off Amazon, 22 bucks. The Limitless Equipment Survival Kit Mark 1. And, well, that says, yeah, made with pride in the UK. So, here are the contents. I'm not going to read over all that when we're about to break it open. But there it is if you want to stop and look at it. But instead, let's open this thing up and see what's inside. All right, so let's take this thing out of the box and see what we got. So, you remove it from the box and you got this nice tin. Again, the contents are listed, and there's a rubber band holding it together. I'm kind of excited about this one. Looks like there's a lot of crap inside that box. Let's find out what kind of crap there is. So, I don't know if we can do this by the numbers or if we're just going to have to figure it out. Okay, first of all, there's a wire saw. Okay. And there's a compass. There's, what is this? Looks like a fishing kit. There. Oh, and I'm already getting kind of excited because it looks like it's a fishing kit that's already put together, and you know I've been bitching about that. Here is a hank of paracord, and also in there are a couple of plastic ties. Here is, what the heck is that? Is that a light bulb? What is that? A flashlight? We're going to figure out what that is. Here's some first aid stuff. Some sugar. Interesting. Some salt. A wound dressing, so there's some first aid stuff in here. A condom. A couple bouillon cubes. Interesting. This is a serious survival kit. And this is a little ampule of what looks like petroleum jelly, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. This looks like a tampon, but I'm not positive. This is going to be interesting. This is a very, very small bit of duct tape. Another rubber band. This looks like a whistle. Maybe something more to it. Maybe fire starter, but some sort of little multi-tool. There's a very complete sewing kit. Here's some brass wire. Here's a very sharp golf pencil. Here's an assortment of safety pins and paper clips. Well, they just put a lot of stuff in here. Here are two, what I assume, water purification tabs, yes. Tiny chem lights, I think. Look like tiny chem lights. Another rubber band. What is this? Oh, some paper, and it feels like waxed. Maybe some of that Ride on the Range type paper. Sorry, chicken fight. A filter, coffee filter for filtering sediment out of water. A scalpel blade. And it looks like the only thing left is some of the ubiquitous aluminum foil. All right. All right. That's a lot of stuff in there. A lot of stuff. All right, first things first, let's look at the water purification kit, as they called it. So what we got is a coffee filter and two water purification tablets. I like the coffee filter idea, um, although I'd rather have seen a a small handkerchief, but and it would have taken up probably about the same amount of room, and you could have used it for other things. But that's okay. The coffee filter is a neat idea. Um, that's a real plus. I mean, you know, when you find water, it's going to have sediment in it. It's going to have bugs and stuff in it, and you're going to want to pre-filter that water and get it as clean as possible mechanically before you treat it chemically. So that's a real plus. I'm gonna definitely give them points for that. All right. So then there's the pencil and paper, and this does seem to be treated paper. Looks like it was just taken out of some book. So, but that's fine. It feels waxier and thicker than Right in the Rain. Let's make sure a pencil will work on it. Dang, pencil works good on it. And this just seemed to be a normal pencil. Very sharp. Nice and sharp pencil. So, yeah, that's a plus. That's a plus. All right, then let's look at the fire starting stuff, okay? And I'm going to need both hands to do this. All right, so the fire starting kit consists of some petroleum jelly and this little vial, which is cool, except for being that it's in that deep vial, you know you're going to have to fish it out of there, or stick something in there to pull it out. It'd been nicer if it had been more in if it had been in a shallow cup or something like that, but that's okay. And then there's this this tampon, and you know I'm going to make it a little side statement here. And I know that all the new hip medical guys will make jokes all day long about people saying, "Oh, put tampons in your first aid kit because they'll plug up a bullet wound," and they laugh at that and joke about that. But here's the facts. In the early '80s, I served with corpsmen who did carry tampons, and that's what they carried it for. Now, whether they were misled or whether they had different experiences, I can't say. But I will say this. The wonderful medical stuff that we have, no, not medical, the wonderful first aid stuff that we have these days is not the same as what we had in the '80s. Tourniquets were frowned on in the '80s. We were told if you did not have medical training, you shouldn't put a tourniquet on. And if you had to, use your web belt. We weren't really issued tourniquets. We got that compression bandage, and that was about it. And now I never knew any Marines that carried tampons for that reason, but I know of some corpsmen who did. And like I said, they may have been misled, or maybe they had different experiences. But you know, I'm not defending the idea. I'm just saying those were the facts on the ground back in the '80s. Now here's the combination whistle fire starter, and let's go ahead, get out of the way. Let's try the whistle out. Wow, that was a loud whistle. That was nice. That was just as loud as the Three Rivers one. And then you pull that little doodab out. Did you get that on film? And it's very positively controlled in there. It's got a place to put a lanyard. And then here's your ferricium rod. And I haven't gotten this. There's a spark. I don't know if these things have coatings or what, but you usually have to do it a couple times before you get a good. Now, is a tampon the best thing to put in there for fire starter? I mean, look at that thing. You could get quite a few of the little waxed cotton fire starters in there for that. You know, maybe they don't get into those things in England. I don't know, but I definitely would say that that would probably be better for fire starting, say, I don't know, 4 of those, 3 of those, rather than a tampon. Let's see here. I'm trying to get it positioned. I got the string on fire. I caught the string on fire. So, okay, tampons burn good. All right. Well, at least tampon strings burn good. And the petroleum jelly, I know that if we coated that petroleum jelly on there, that would burn really well once it got going. But I'm going to be harsh. I really think this combination of petroleum jelly and a tampon doesn't quite live up to the standards of a couple of those waxed cotton bales, if we're talking fire starting. Now, if you've got some burns, some petroleum jelly would help a lot. But that's not. I don't think that's what they said in the thing. Yeah, they just talk about it for fire starting. So I don't think that was their intention that would also be used for burns. So I'm going to have to give a mixed kind of bag. I like the little ferrocerium rod and whistle, but I'm gonna say no go to this. I'm gonna say no go because that room could be taken up by, good Lord, 4 or 6 of the waxed cotton bales, and I think that would be better than this. Next, we'll look at the fishing kit, and it looks like it's just one. Let me get these grubs off here. Got a couple grubs. Looks like maybe it's just, yeah, I only see one hook. So it's just one fishing line totally set up. Got some nice grubs here. I mean, these guys, I bet if I threw these over into the chicken pen right now, they'd eat that. Of course, I see 2 bobbers. So it makes me want to think there's another hook, but I don't see another hook. Maybe I'm just missing it. But not a bad little fishing kit. Takes up a lot of room, and for all that room, you probably could have put some more stuff on there, or you could have made it smaller, but it's a nice little fishing kit. And I believe that fishing kits in areas where there is water are really important, because I think the energy expended on fishing for your calories versus trying to hunt or snare, and the time also, the energy and the time, you're much better off trying to catch something out of the water, whether it be fish or frogs or minnows. You know, even with minnows you can get full. So that's a nice little fishing kit. So we're gonna put that in the go pile. Ranger bands. There was one that came on the can, and then it came with 2 more. Now these can be used for all kind of things, to hold stuff together and hold stuff down, and also they burn, so they could go into your fire making gear. So there's nothing wrong with them. I'll give them a qualified yes. They don't turn me on as far as survival goes, so I'm not super excited about Ranger bands, but I can't fault them, so they'll go in the yes column. Now let's look at the compass. Well, right now at least, yeah, compass seems to be working. Let's take it out here away from everything. See if it still's working. Yeah, it pretty much works. I don't know what the brand is. It doesn't say. It's kind of a no-name compass, but you know what? It's working. So, chem lights. Good idea. You can use them for fishing. You can use them for marking. You can use them for a small light if you need to look at a map at night. So, they're kind of, you know, once you turn them on, you can't turn them off, but they're still, I can't fault them. I assume this is the flashlight. Oh, yeah, it's the flashlight. But it's got a little, that's cool. It's got a little thing to stop it from working. There it is, a little red light. And this little thing, I guess, acts as a way to kind of hold it on or hold it off. Yeah, this little rubber ring acts as a friction so that when you turn it on or off, it'll pretty much stay where you turned it. And it also probably gives a little bit of water resistance to that place. Okay, well, you know what? Let's go test this in the dark, and we'll take that compass with us too. And what the heck? We'll take one chem light, and we'll just test all of these guys. What do you say? All right, here we are in the darkness of the shed, and the first thing I'm going to do is break a chem light. And yep, chem light works good. There it is on the ground. I mean, it's a chem light. Don't know how long it's good for. I'll read and see if it says, but it's going to be good for 3 hours or 6 hours, maybe 12 hours, probably not even longer than that. Okay, I'm going to throw that in my pocket so it doesn't mess with the experiment here. Okay, I was thinking maybe this compass glowed, but it doesn't. All right, that's cool. Nobody said it did. Now, let's turn on our little red light. Okay, wow, that's quite a little red light. All right, that's pretty good. I mean, it's being red, it gives you a little bit of your night vision back, and doesn't project as far as a white light, although that's a very white red light. But yeah, that's pretty good. It's much redder in real life than it is on the camera. But I've never seen a flashlight like that. Must be British, but I like it. All right, so the little red light is definitely a yes. We like it. All right, next we're going to look at the paracord, which is very neatly kept in this little piece of Velcro, and the two plastic ties. That's a nice little bonus. And is it just normal paracord? I think it is. Let me look at the box. 2 meters of reflective Tactiglow fire cord, 7-strand, 550-pound waxed inner cord for fire starting. So they're telling me it's like survival cord, where inside is more than just strands. It's special strands. So let's find out if that's true. And let's see here what we got. Yeah. Now on survival cord, you can actually see different colored strands. So, I mean, I don't see one that stands out as being different. Do you? But that's not saying that there's not one. Actually, I can't really tell that one's different. This one may be different because it hasn't frayed, but I don't know that. All right, next is the copper wire. Not for snares, but for repairing gear, for fashioning a spearhead onto a limb. Yeah, I'm all for having some wire. And if you're going to have wire, copper is a good thing to have. It's very malleable. Next, let's look at the surgical blade. Not a fan of this for a survival kit. For a first aid kit, sure. But as a survival kit, as the only cutter in this survival kit, I think we'd been better off with a one-sided box cutter or a small knife of some sort. Because when you're cold or tired, your motor skills are down, and I just think holding a scalpel, and you can see what they look like, there's no reason to open it, with your fat fingers and doing what you need to do with it, I just don't think this is the right cutting tool for a survival kit. Let's talk about the sugar and salt. Have no problem with having sugar and salt in this kit. The salt is at least in some sort of plasticky type container, but the sugar is just in paper. So I don't know that these are quite prepared or not prepared. These are in the right form that I would want them. The salt, sure, okay. I'm okay with the salt. Although the bouillon is going to have a lot of salt in it. The sugar, I'd rather see a sugar cube than this because it's just paper. It'd be real easy to break open, and then you got sugar on everything, and that's not cool. So I'd rather see a hard candy than this sugar. So next we're going to look at their nod toward first aid, and it's an adhesive wound dressing and a small alcohol swab. And you know, I don't have a problem with this. It's not a first aid kit, it's a survival kit, but you know what? This didn't take up a lot of room. I think I'd rather that be, instead of an adhesive wound dressing, I wish it was just a gauze pad, and maybe use the tape for the adhesive part. But I'm not going to sneer at this. This is not a bad thing to have. It didn't take up much room. The paper clips and the small safety pins. Now, this is what I'm going to say about this. If I've got copper wire, I don't know why I need paper clips. And if I'm going to have safety pins, give me big safety pins, bigger than that. Maybe not blanket pins, but bigger safety pins. So that seems like such an afterthought. I apologize, the sun's going down over here. I'm going to say no to that. I'm being hard. I know I'm being hard. And the foil. Now this is not as thick a foil as came with the SOL Origin kit, and I kind of have the same feeling about the foil. I really don't know what I'm going to use it for. I mean, I know what I'm supposed to use it for. I'm supposed to use it to make a little boat to put water in. But I got this neat tin, and that's what I'm going to use for putting water in. That doesn't quite make it. And I just got to think about the foil in any survival kit, so I'm going to say no there. So there's the saw. It doesn't look any thicker than the other saws I've seen. I do like the handles. They do look like they've spent some time figuring out how to make the handles more comfortable. And what we're going to do is try to find something that we can cut. This saw is actually cutting pretty good. I'm just trying to cut this little piece off, and yeah, it's getting stuck a little bit, but not like others. And I don't see the memory in the saw that you see with a lot. Now I apologize, I don't have a tripod out here, and I've been trying to hold it under my chin, and it keeps falling on the ground, so I don't know if I'm gonna get any good video out of this. But I'll do anything for you, my 5 faithful subscribers, and I'll try. Okay, I've cut enough to know that this thing is about as good as any of the small saws I've ever seen, which isn't to say it doesn't still suck as far as being able to cut. But I will say this, I don't see any memory from when it got stuck, and that's good because it gets those little memory whippets, and then it doesn't want to work. All right, so we're going to say the saw is a definite go. that is the best small saw I have ever used. And I mean, it's still a small saw, but it got no kinks in it, and I'm impressed. So it's going in the go column. All right, last item in this survival kit is the condom. Let's fill this bad boy up. So we've got a quart of water and a sleeping cat and a condom. Let's see what we can do with that. So, and obviously it is going to be a non-lubricated condom because you just don't want to use a lubricated one for this. So let's carefully pour the water in and see how much water this actually will hold. Well, it won't hold a quart. That's it's not a lot of water, but it's water. And what you can do is, you know, you can take your hydration tablets, put in there. Although the problem is these, not hydration, what am I calling them? These aqua tabs, you put them in a quart of water. I think two to a quart. So maybe one would be good for something this size. I don't know. But now, here's my opinion on using condoms for water storage. It's gimmicky. I mean, personally, I think that back in World War II, they had a bunch of condoms that they were handing out to the troops anyway, and somebody said, "Hey, throw a couple of these in the pilot's survival kit, and we'll say it's for water storage." These days, I think there's a lot better solutions. There's some flat, thick plastic bags that you can put in there, and it would do a better job. They're gusseted and they'll stand up, and now they take up more room than a condom, but unless you're going to put several of these in here, this just doesn't hold a lot of water. I'm going to say no to the condom. I'm going to put it in the no pile. I just think it's a dated concept. Let's put condoms back where they belong. Now last, let's talk about the tin itself. I'm really happy with this tin. Now, it's kind of big, so as far as calling it a pocket survival kit, that's going to fill up your pocket. I wish it was a little bit taller and wider and less deep, but that's okay. I like that it's a tin because I could actually keep water in here. I could cook on it with it. There's uses to this tin, and that really makes me happy. So, the Limitless Equipment Survival Kit Mark 1. Now, why a British survival kit has a Mexican Day of the Dead logo on it, I don't know. But even with the several negatives in the negative pile, because I was being tough, you know I was, I've got to say this is a pretty darn good kit. And for 22 bucks, I can recommend it. I say if you're looking for a survival kit, especially one to start with and then to customize, this is a good one. I think you get your money's worth out of it, and I'm really happy to have reviewed this. Hey, thanks for watching.